I'm so proud to be from the VI, a place of history like the African side, yeah. St. Thomas and St. John and St. Dry, nothing can come between us but the waters that divide, yeah. Even though we're just a few square miles, I travel around the world with Virgin Island pride, yeah. A lot of people still going through strife, and still we live a joyful life. That's why the place nice, so nice, so nice. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Cry full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. Hey, we got so much to lose, yet so much to prove. Hey, Virgin Island teachers never raise no fool. Mama sent me school. Hey, when it's difficult, we still a push through. No matter what the blessings of will continue. We are a people of great value. That's why we stick together like tamarind stew. Hey, remember Queen Mary, we make the fire burn, and Edward Blyden with the Africa vision. Remember St. John with the slave rebellion. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Cry full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. Hey, we got so much to prove, yet so much to lose. Hey, Virgin Island teachers never raise no fool. Mama sent me school, yeah. St. Cry produce the band midnight, yeah man. Them kind of rules. Mind check my love. Una do us, una do us, una do us. How are they for you? Remember Queen Mary, we make the fire burn, and Edward Blyden with the Africa vision. Remember St. John with the slave rebellion. General Butler say emancipation. That's why the place nice, so nice, so nice. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Cry full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. Hey, we got so much to prove, yet so much to lose. Hey, Virgin Island teachers never raise no fool. Mama sent me school, yeah. St. Cry produce the band midnight, yeah man. Them kind of rules. Mind check my love.
it like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. Cause no one can do it like we do it, like we do it, like we do it. We got the right stuff, we put the hammer right down. Wanna be like us, you better stick around. If you want it, you gotta prove it. Like we do it, like we do it.
So nice. Sure. I'm so proud to be from the VI, a place of history like the African side, yeah. St. Thomas and St. John and St. Dry. Nothing can come between us but the waters that divide, yeah. Even though we're just a few square miles, I travel around the world with Virgin Islands pride, yeah. A lot of people still going through strife, and still we live a joyful life. That's why the place nice, so nice, so nice. Sweet, sweet St. Thomas nice, so nice, so nice. St. Cry full of pure vibes, so nice, so nice. St. John a real paradise, so nice, so nice. We got so much to lose, yet so much to prove. Hey. Virgin Island teachers never raise no fool. Mama sent me school.
The updates that we have here in the US Virgin Islands. I just wanted to extend just condolences real quick to some of the families that I know and families that some of you know. We start with Constance Juliet Abraham Graham. Condolences to her family. Those we know how it is to lose a loved one. Marva Dolores Hoyer, Mary Margaret Thomas. Condolences. Yeah, some of those independent instrumentalities. I'm not sure what's going on here and why anyone would not be able to hear me. But I'm going to say continue to see maybe if it's something. I know there's nothing on this end. But anyway, nurses have actually resigned their respective positions and moving along to a lot of different places. And in moving on to a lot of different places, even the visiting nurses that they brought here are not comfortable with their conditions at the St. Croix Hospital. And that it's almost like there was damage already done. And to think that you're paying visiting nurses some $20,000 for them to come to the Virgin Islands to work, to care for our residents. It's still unfortunate that a lot of the local nurses who have to assist them under the very adverse conditions that exist at the hospital in St. Croix. And I am wondering, what do you do to get those nurses to even come back at this juncture? Because what the visiting nurses are complaining about is the working conditions in the hospital. So here's the way that I would process it. You got to commend all those nurses who worked in that hospital, those who continue to work in the hospital under those conditions, because if a visiting nurse came to the Virgin Islands and complaining about the conditions there at the hospital, bear in mind or be mindful that local nurses endured that from the beginning of COVID and probably before. So they need to be applauded, they need to be commended, and it's rather unfortunate for those who have decided to resign and move along or move on. It's just a dilemma that have left a bitter taste in a lot of folks' mouth. Hurricane season is here, folks. And when I say hurricane season is here, hurricane season is here. Look at what happened to Louisiana. Louisiana got ravaged by a hurricane. For the last, I think it was yesterday, that it hit their shores and ravaged. You look at the devastation that exists there. And I'm going to get to this issue also with Joe Biden, because how much can that president take on at the same time? He got Afghanistan, and now we have disasters to deal with. That's a lot. But I'm telling you, this thing with Afghanistan is going to be like a monkey on his back, because for a number of soldiers or troops to be actually killed under this president's watch is something that he's going to have to respond to repeatedly moving into the future. But hurricane season, folks, here in the Virgin Islands, just going back to it, the number of homes that are compromised, the number of people that still living under blue tops, it's just, I can't fathom what they're experiencing, but I know that I speak with families and I hear the frustration in their voices that these projects, this assistance, the home repair program, we started with Envision Tomorrow. Now Envision Tomorrow look like it turned to Envision Yesterday. But what do we have today? What are we working on today? Folks, I know that many of you out there who are listening to me, listening to my voice, and you can relate to what I'm saying. Either you have a neighbor, you live the experience, or you have a family member that living under these very horrible conditions during a hurricane season. We just got to do better. And I've said this repeatedly, over and over, that people are challenged with this whole program that is supposed to be repairing homes and assisting people to rebuild their homes. And we're not hearing any significant progress. But maybe at the appropriate time, I can have Mr. Griffith come back here on the radio just to give us an update and give people some level of comfort. I don't know if it's going to be after the hurricane season, or he can come upon my invitation within the next couple of weeks. So at least folks would hear something that is comforting to them and something that is promising to them. So keep hope alive. Folks, there's this vaccination lottery. There's something about this vaccination lottery that I'm not comfortable. Let me tell you why I'm not comfortable with it. And I would like to know how it's being administered, how they're actually qualifying people to be in this whole lottery, and what rules and regulations were put in place for the dissemination or the distribution of those prizes. And let me qualify, or let me add to my comments. The reason I'm asking this question or making these comments is because I learned that an individual was contacted and said that they won the lottery, and from $100,000 it went to $50,000, and now the person said that they only won $5,000. I'm trying to get more information about that, because it would seem to me that they're changing the rules along the way. And do you realize that if that person decide to file a claim against the lottery office or whoever is administering the program, they would have a valid claim? Because how would you justify reducing the amount of the prize based on who the individual is? That something about this whole lottery, I'd like to see the rules and regulations. And if Raymond Williams, I think is the director of the lottery office, can share some specifics about that, I'm extending an open invitation to him to come on the program and explain to the public exactly how this program is being administered. Are you extracting information from a database of individuals who've been vaccinated? I would like to know exactly how it's being administered. Because if you are just arbitrarily applying rules as it move along, something is wrong with that picture. So please, it's an open invitation for someone to come and explain to the public exactly how this program is being administered, because the same way folks are being confused about this whole thing is the same way that I am a little perplexed about this whole this whole lottery, vaccination lottery. Who was supposed to be winning 1,000, then you're hearing folks are winning 50,000, then now you're hearing, depending on your station or depending on something, that winning 5,000 or they reduce it to an amount. I don't know how they do that amount. Someone will be able to explain. Moving on, I'm wondering, and I just want to pivot or step backwards to this of the hurricane season. I'd like to share with the public exactly what the official hurricane shelters are. Because that we're in hurricane season, and it's been proven that hurricanes even hit our shores in the month of October. So we don't know what is going to transpire over the next few months, couple of months. Seem to be developing, and it seems like they're getting a lot more volatile as time go on. Does that have to do with global warming? I'm curious to know what the scientists have to say. Folks, this morning I wanted to discuss an issue that should be dear to the people of the Virgin Islands, and that issue has to do with the West Indian Company Limited. But there must be a separation, and I just wanted to share with the public what that separation is supposed to be in terms of who owns what portion of that property that many of us refer to as WICO. Now, WICO is the actual corporation that actually ran the port and ran the mall. Now, a lot of folks don't realize that if we go back in history, because it's 107 going 108 years old that Waiko existed. Now, it may be a year older. If my calculation is right, then it's about 108, going on 109 years that Waiko existed. Now, today, we're hearing a lot of discussion about what may happen with the Havensight Mall. Now, the Havensight Mall is owned by GRS. And if we remember, and before I even get into the question, I just wanted to share with you guys just some history on Waiko, because what I'm reminded of, legacies are established, consist of things that are tangible. So significant that it establishes an individual's history. And when I talk about establishing a legacy, about one of our former governors, it was in 1993 the West Indian Company was sold to the government of the Virgin under the direction of the estate former governor, God rest his soul, Alexander Anthony Farley, and many people, from professional to just the regular layman, that actually believed that his legacy was established with that acquisition. That this acquisition was and is a very economical venture for the people of the Virgin Islands. And I say the people of the Virgin Islands, I remember in my younger days in listening to Alex, and I call him Alex, forgive me, it's no disrespect, but it's in humor, it's in the kind of relationship that I was able to establish. Former Governor Alexander, many refer to him as Alex, but Alex spoke and wanting it for the people of the Virgin Islands. Now, it was purchased at a price of $54 million. Diversity. The mall was sold to the employees' retirement for $32 million. The Public Finance Authority acquired the dock area. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because we got to be careful now. I know that the GRS system is being placed in a very precarious situation, and they may very well have to divest themselves of some assets in order to put some liquidity into the GRS system, which protects the retirees, but as well as those who are vested in the system. Now, if the legislature and the governor of the Virgin Islands are charged with the responsibility of trying to see how they could address the unfunded liability, there's going to have to be an acceleration on this matter, because now they can simply, and I'm talking about the GRS system, can simply say that before the system goes insolvent, they might as well start divesting themselves of valuable assets to put an infusion of funds into the government. Now, does that affect our former Governor Farrelly's legacy? It certainly does, because he wanted the people of the Virgin Islands to actually own that dock and that Havensight Mall. And I really don't feel that the only alternative or the only option for them would be to divest themselves of that valuable asset. So the question you have to ask is the GRS system exploring other options to generate revenues, whether it's on the investment side? And you've heard me talk in the past about the algorithm that their consultants are using, and maybe using something over 20 years. If something is not working above all, you might have to try something else. But I feel that this is tethering or tampering with someone's legacy who fought for that property to actually be or belong to the people of the Virgin Islands by virtue of the entities in which bought it and it falls under. But that's only my out there that is asking if these discussions that have been taking place about divesting yourself of the Havensight Mall, are they real? And maybe the executive director or the CEO, administrator for the GRS system, or someone care to say if these discussions did in fact take place. Because that asset, I as a Virgin Islander, you know, it's been said in the past, and I'm talking about my forefathers. A wise man once said, two things you don't sell, your communication or your power source. We already sold our communication, and we still own our power source. But to add to that list, I think that we need to start looking at finding ways to make sure that that mall can work for us and maintain that control and not divest ourselves of that valuable asset. Because I truly believe that that $34 million, and who knows what the assessed value is. So here is a group of questions before I open up the line to the public that I wanted to just put out there. The sale of the Havensight Mall. We already shared what is the history of the Waiko acquisition. I provided a little bit of history. What is the assessed value of the mall? How many private entities have expressed interest? Should retirees and vested employees and other stakeholders be entitled to input? Is the GRS system fully transparent? Does Virgin Islanders support a sale of the Havensight Mall? Should the GRS provide a list of assets they plan to sell? Is the sale of the Havensight Mall, does it require legislative approval? Because it would seem to me that if a deal went through for an acquisition and all these things to take place, it would seem to me that the legislature should be actively involved. And I would be curious to know exactly who's expressing interest. But I'm sure that someone will provide some insight, because these, you know, while people are extremely busy, I want to share this with the public. While folks are extremely busy with this COVID-19 and practicing all the precautionary measures, understand that it's a distraction as well, because you don't know what's going on with other things that should be of great importance to Virgin Islanders as well. What else are they discussing? I mean, I considered the sale of the Havensight Mall to be a major issue, and an issue that if in fact it's going on, that the public should be able to see it in plain view, that the public should be able to evaluate, to review, to process, and to determine whether or not it would be a wise thing to do. I don't think it's a wise thing. I think we need to hold on to that valuable asset and to protect the legacy also of a former governor whose vision, I mean, had materialized to the point where we are able, or the government of the Virgin Islands was able to acquire those two assets. And I'm talking about the dock and the Havensight Mall. So folks, the number to call here at WSTA is 340-774-1340. WSTA. Yeah, senators charged with the responsibility of coming up with creative ways to generate new revenues. And of course, those new revenues can be committed to different entities, committed to different programs, and it offers and what the respective senators' agenda is. And in this case, we're talking about this morning the GRS system. What new revenues are being directed to the GRS system? Do you realize, folks, that this medicinal marijuana, it was publicly stated that it was going to provide an infusion of funds into the GRS system. But it's been 3 years now, and this legislation, it has not, the medicinal marijuana program has not been implemented. And we don't know what the holdup is. But I believe, and just to give the benefit of the doubt, that the Commissioner of Licensing and Consumer Protection is vigilantly trying to see if he can get all the requisites in place to get this off the ground and let us start generating some kind of revenues. But let's step aside a second. What are the other revenue generating programs? Because I know, or not I know, but the public is going to demand, especially the government employees, retirees. Well, when I say government employees, those who are vested. Because the way things look is that there is, in fact, a sentiment growing among even government employees where they may not wait until that 10-year mark to be vested in the system and may opt to withdraw and move on to other things, move on to what they consider to be better security the system. And I would tell you that when it comes to even a person being able to withdraw their money leading up to that 10-year mark that is not vested, and that person should be entitled to 4% interest and what the GRS system may have held for them for a number of years. And I believe the GRS system, its board, made a decision to reduce the 4% to 2%. At least acknowledging that a person who has contributed to a system and decide to withdraw the money should be entitled to at least some interest on their money, equivalent to what the banking institutions provide on savings and even on some checking that is in excess of. But we got to be careful with how we start to divest ourselves of valuable properties, valuable assets. So this morning, I brought the subject up, the rumored, and this is why I said rumored, and I got it from individuals that I believe are reliable sources. I spoke with a couple of the tenants over there that there was in fact a proposal where tenants or some tenants who meet a certain financial category would be able to contribute to investing $10 million in a pool or in a pot to put in a bid for the Havensight Mall. So they would be owners. Now, you know that instead of we looking for investors in the tenants, we better start looking for some relief to offer them. And I will tell you that the GRS system, I understand, has been really kind to them and working with them, compassionate. But it's going to take a little bit more than that. They're going to need some relief. And I'm not just talking about the PPP program and all the other forms of relief that is being offered to business owners. I'm talking about stepping up your game and coming up with some more creative ways to assist businesses in the Virgin Islands in general. And I'm not just talking about the Havensight Mall, but in general. There's a lot of folks out there who have not been generating income to keep their businesses afloat. And the question that we have to ask ourselves, how are they surviving? But let me go to the phone line to start opening up the line for folks to call in. Good morning. You on the air, connect the dots.
Good morning, Fonzie. How are you?
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. How are you?
I am good. You know, I am so glad that you're bringing this issue up again because we spoke about that a few months ago. And I don't know what is happening to the people in our community. Everybody seems to be so very apathetic. You know, you have a legislature in there, they get mad with me when I say what I say, but I see these things coming. You have 15 minds in our legislature, and they can't come up with any solutions to deal with the GERS problem. Okay, I mean, it really upsets me that, you know, we sit back as government retirees, because I'm a retiree, and we just let these people do exactly what they want to us, and we not me, but the people continue to re-elect these people. You know, we need to start setting standards for how we elect people. The responsibility of the legislature, in addition to creating laws, is to raise revenues to run the government. And I don't see any major effort. You hear a lot of talk. Oh, we spoke to this body, we did this and we did that. But, you know, there are other ways. You know, there are people in the community that have ideas as to how, you know, monies can be raised. What they need to do is maybe have a symposium and invite some bright minds, because you have some brilliant young people in this community, and get some ideas from them, because obviously our senators are intellectually bankrupt, okay? And it's unfortunate. I am hoping that the people of the Virgin Islands will raise up their voices and object vociferously to any sale of any assets owned by the GERS. The people are the ones who own these assets, the government employees. Okay, you have a board of trustees who act on behalf of the people. But I know there's something going on. I've been hearing about it, that they're planning to sell the assets of the mall over there. You don't sell your assets. Once they fall into private hands, that's revenues that could have been used as leverage for financial to go to a financial institution to help maybe with a bridge loan or whatever to continue, you know, to sustain the GRS. You know, I'm so glad, and I really hope that people will start to wake up. You don't sell your assets. If you want to go to a bank to get to get a loan, and then you come up with other ways of raising the revenues to pay back the loan, you have that as an asset, as collateral. You know, I really don't understand. And the mall is closed now because the cruise ships are not, a lot of the cruise ship companies are not sailing. Yeah. But they're going to come back. They're going to come back, and the economy is going to start to it's going to continue to pick up, because it's in good shape. The economy here, thank God, is in good shape now. But because you stop selling. The Virgin Islands ain't gonna belong to us anymore.
Well, you know,
I'm really upset about it, Francie.
And you know what's my greatest concern right now? We're saying that the cruise ships are going to come back. Two things I want to address about what you said. You said that the cruise ships, we are anticipating that these cruise ships are going to come back, and they will come back. It is when and whether or not these businesses are going to be able to stay afloat. I know that the GRS system, in providing some form of relief, I think they afforded them 14 months or something like that of suspended payment. But then as it resumes, it's going to be at full level, and that could be problematic, because a lot of those businesses are not going to be able to survive, because they're trying to sustain right now all the expenses involved. And the second thing I wanted to address about what you said. You know, you said that all the senators are bankrupt in ideas. And I just want to, but here where I'm going with this. And it's not really in defense, but I think in fairness. Every senator has a concentration. And when I say every senator has a concentration, sometimes a senator would be an environmentalist, goes in and chairs the committee, the environmental committee, plan and environmental protection, and decide that they want to champion causes, concentrate on that, and be the best they can be in that respective discipline. You see? And I think that there is a couple that is going to be charged with the responsibility of really stepping up to the plate and coming up with creative ways to inject some life into the GRS system, to not give them or have them boxed in or cornered, that they would have no choice but to divest themselves of some of the assets. So I hope that they're paying attention, and maybe it may very well be that the action is deliberate.
I think it is.
Yeah, and I
think it is.
And I have
a
reason to believe that.
But you know how things work around here in this territory, okay? When they want to achieve a certain end, they create a scenario to force a situation. And that's the reality. It's unfortunate because it's Virgin Islanders selling out Virgin Islanders. And it needs to stop. Okay? And I understand what you're saying about people concentrating, in the respective areas. Yeah. But there are also things that can be done in the areas of environmental preservation that could generate revenues. So it is just a matter of being creative, okay, and being focused on what is regulating certain things. It's not the only area that you should focus on. Focus on other creative things. What can we do? How can we maybe improve our parks, our park systems? These are things that where revenues can be raised. Provide jobs to walk in. So you to the local people here.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm talking about. Creativity. Get the young people. There are a lot of young people running. I spoke with a young man here. He's probably in his 30s. And the things that he is talking about doing, he can share some of these ideas.
Well, let me just say this. Let me just say this. And I had a passion for economic literacy, in terms of teaching it in terms of teaching it in public schools at grade level 4 and 5. I feel that it's important to shape minds, because not every person is going to venture the private sector and feel that they have what it takes to develop a business of their own. And that's because of our upbringing, what we've been exposed to, and how we've been groomed to take chances, to venture. So an economic literacy program is badly needed at those grade levels, because by the time they get to high school, they should be discussing stocks and bonds and all the other stuff. Yeah.
I fully agree with you. And you've been saying this for what? How long? 10 years? And nothing has happened?
More than 10 years. So then
something is wrong.
More than 10 years.
Well, then something is wrong.
Yeah.
Something is wrong. There's a big disconnect and there's a big divide, because if something doesn't benefit a certain sector of the community, then they don't want to implement it. And I say, and I'm going to stand by this conviction, things happen in this community because people are benefiting from it. Okay? So we need to start really waking up. Okay? So thank you for for allowing me for my input.
And thanks for calling. Okay?
Okay, bye.
You have a great day. Yeah, folks, we need to start paying attention to what is going on. And I apologize to some of the other callers to call in. I only have one line here, of course. And I had someone come in and provide me with a note and this is a Virgin Islander who provided me with this. I wanted to read it on the air real quick. It said, when I inquired if I can be taken to the Havensight and shown 4 boundary posts to property purchased by GRS, I was told the property wasn't purchased by boundary. What was purchased was the shares of WICO, which means a paper transaction. That can only mean that GRS doesn't have any interest in the property on the ground. Now, that's another issue to be discussed. And you know, I would hope that we can really put this thing in perspective and really come up with what is needed to protect that asset. And I'm talking about a collaboration coming from different quarters. I remember, and let me go to this other telephone call. Good morning, you're on the air, connect the dots.
I'm really doing my best to connect the dots, and I'm happy that you're on, because often we have former elected officials that show no interest in the welfare of the people when they're out of office. So I'm glad that you're doing your part in keeping the community informed and enlightened. I know it's very frustrating. We see some of the same people get reelected and feel like that's in the best interest. But we got to keep in mind, they don't put themselves in office.
Yeah,
they are elected by the people. And we have to do our part, we the people, being engaged and working collaboratively with the government, because I have put together a movement called CHARM, Citizen Harmony and Reform Movement, to try to get the people, the community, to offer their suggestion on what we can do to make GRS become solvent.
Yeah.
And it's very little feedback that I get. Very little support. But let me ask you a question. With this law that you have sponsored, try to clarify, in terms of the government has to issue your income tax refund check by certain. To elaborate on that, because I hear some things about it and it has never really been explained fully to me, and I'm asking the person who I believe was the prime sponsor, right?
Yeah.
So I hear from the horse. Could you elaborate on that for me, please?
Sure. There was a 4.5% set aside for income tax refunds, and of course, those that thread the path before some of us that served in office was wise enough to at least suggest that there would be or should be a 4.5% set aside for the purpose of really paying people their income tax refunds on time, having a cash flow for that purpose. What I did was I drafted the law differently, amended the law to include increasing the amount to 10%. At that time, I felt that 15% was more adequate, but the administration fought me down, as well as a few senators, so there was a compromise at the 10%. Now, it also, the legislation empowered the director of IRB, placing them in a significant role to make sure that these income tax refunds were paid. But it went even further than that. I took the legislation now, and I took the government to court to establish that the law has to be respected, and in order for you to have continuity and start paying income tax refunds on time, you needed that pool of money readily available to the director of IRB to be able to send these things down, for the refunds, send them down to finance for it to be distributed. In the stipulation agreement that was established, because the government realized that they could not beat me in court. So what they did is they tried their best to establish that I didn't have standings. But then they soon learned that I had standings, and I was within that pool of individuals that were owed 2, 3, or more years of income tax refunds. Because when I went into office, I was owed income tax refunds. And I always felt that whatever I do in public office, I want to make sure that I try to improve conditions for residents of the Virgin Islands, because I know what it feels like to not receive your income tax refund and receive it on time. So in the stipulation agreement, the government was forced to establish a separate account under the general ledger specifically to pay income tax refunds. Now, what the government tried to argue was that the 10%, now bear in mind, they argue against the 15% set aside, to then turn around and argue in court that 10% was not enough. So you see the great contradiction? It was a great contradiction on their part. But it was established in a stipulation agreement that was signed off by the commissioner at that time and the attorney appointed by Department of Justice to represent the Department of Finance. So it was signed off. Now, what I had to establish with them is that historically speaking, the legislature of the Virgin Islands have placed in the miscellaneous section of the budget or even inserted in a supplemental budget an appropriation specifically to pay income tax refunds. So the compromise that I had with the governor at that time and the legislature was that we continue to put that supplemental or put that appropriation under the miscellaneous section of the budget, because that would make up the 15% or the 5% that they didn't agree to, bringing it to 15%. And I didn't have a problem with that, because at the end of the day, I felt that the legislation was really improving conditions and ensuring that if we followed the law, that people would be paid the income tax refunds, and even additionally important, that they be paid on time. So remember now that they will tell you that the income child credit and interest that they may have to pay out, if you pay the income tax refunds on time, you won't be paying interest. And if I may add in closing on this matter, that account, interest-bearing account, it was supposed to be an interest-bearing account that set aside was placed into. Now, that matter is still pending in the courts, because I brought it back, because I'm still not satisfied. And it's not about me. For the residents of the Virgin Islands, I get calls every day about that particular issue. But I know I've expounded a lot on this particular issue.
Well, you explain it, and apparently it's not being enforced, because if you, like, I know, I'm not sure, but it appears that the Virgin Islands, the United States, is the only place on the U.S. flag in which people don't get the income tax refund in the same year that it's due. I've never, ever gotten a income tax refund check within 3 weeks like they do in the States.
Yeah.
That has never happened, so it doesn't seem like the law is being enforced, and it gets people frustrated, and people feel so disenfranchised, but yet they punish themselves by saying, well, they throw their hands up in the air. Well, I'm not voting because I hate the Democrats and they're in power. Well, if you're not voting, they're going to always stay in power, because the people who putting them in power don't give up and say, I'm not voting. They're going to say, I want to make sure my fellow Democrats get back in there, so I'm going to vote. And the ones, you have to vote, is my point. To make a difference. It does make a difference. And you got to pay attention. The accountability comes from the ballot. If you decide you're not voting, then you're not holding them accountable. You're just part of the problem. And I just like to encourage people to arrest, WAPA,
Yeah.
and so forth, and offer solution. And we don't have to be against each other. We could work together. That's my message. Work
Yeah.
collaboratively, cohesively, and cooperatively with the government. So we all could have a better Virgin Islands. But thank you.
Thank
and
you for
keep up
calling.
the good works, okay?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Well, folks, I just want to add that I understand that there's a senator that is actually going to increase that set aside, and I applaud whoever that senator is, because I think that it's needed, and it puts the director to finance, and there's money there. That places them in a very advantageous and a good position. Okay, I'm sorry I missed that call just now. But if back on, I know I've been calling, but I can't entertain all the calls one time. So sometimes you got to hold on, and you'll get on the air. Disconnect the dots every Monday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. and live streaming on 7 different media platforms. Good morning, you on the
connect with that.
morning.
I'm very happy for that explanation with income tax refunds. However, no matter how many laws you pass and how much you put on the books,
Yeah,
unless it's the case that the laws are followed and the responsible individual does what he's supposed to do, we're going to have this problem.
yeah,
It's a shame and it's ridiculous, especially when it comes to senior citizens, that they have tax refunds from 2018, 19, and 20, and still they do not have any definite to get the amount of payment.
yeah,
It's what it's supposed to do. And I think this is very, very unfair.
Yeah.
And, ridiculous, because so many people, including yourself,
yeah,
every Monday that you come on, the topics that you discuss are for the people's interests. And, these officials who have the responsible to do what they should do, what they have to do. Okay, I hope I can hear. I have personally called the executive director at the governor's office and share this same complaint. I also relate to them 10 names that are given to feel that those individuals and put in a committee can help to come up with some sort of solution to arrest. All of these things are being done by the citizens.
yeah.
But those in charge who are supposed to be helping the citizens are not doing what they should do. On that note, you be safe. Take care. Keep up the good work.
And thanks for calling. Yeah, everyone, a lot of people have concerns, and elderly, senior citizens. I refer to them as elderly. Senior citizen thing, I don't like to use that. Morning, you on the air. Connect the dots.
Yes, good. Could you answer a question for me, Senator?
Sure.
I would like to know what is the percentage taken out of a lottery, someone who wins the lottery? What is the interest?
I'm not sure I understood the question, but
They're telling me that it's 28% that is taken out of the money before you get it.
oh,
If
okay,
you
yeah,
win,
yeah. I guess that's supposed to be the taxes that you're paying on what is considered an income.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. Oh, okay. Thank you so much, honey.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, folks, even for those of you that won the lottery, I'm sure you realize that you have to pay, or they're retaining some percentage of that. And talking about, and we navigated away from speaking about WICO, because I believe WICO or not Waiko, but the Havensight Mall, being part of that property that was acquired under Alexander A. Farrelly, our esteemed former governor, who is today no longer with us, but his legacy is navigating back to that. I'm hoping that we come up with a game plan to really put some real money on the table for the GRS system, because we can talk, it's probably going to take another 5 years before the medicinal marijuana or the recreational marijuana gets off the ground. I'm not sure what the holdup is. They claim the governor sent down an amendment in the nature of a substitute to the legislature to make it recreational. That is as well, and nothing significant is taking place. And I think we got to be careful with how we play some of the politics, because it's the people of the Virgin Islands that is going to be affected. In this case, it's government employees and those vested, and the retirees are going to be impacted the most. No retiree wants to hear that their income is going to be reduced by 40% or 60%. And I've asked the question, where are they getting these percentages from? What is the formula being used to even throw that type of information out there? But that is subject to another discussion in the very near future. But this issue for me, and I try to have a structured program here every Monday morning, and I think that's what people tune in to my program to hear something structured being shared with you. And it's not to be compared to other programs where they want to just entertain, sometimes strictly melee, or throw information out that is lopsided or biased for the purpose of advancing someone else's agenda. No, it doesn't work like that. Bring me the facts. Share the facts. Let's discuss what is facts. Then we will have a very robust or even a good educated discussion on some of those issues. I've asked in the past about the PFA. I finally got the list of all those professionals that have contract with the PFA, but it doesn't add up. I'm looking for a certain contract or contracts, and I'm not seeing it. But sometimes what's in the dark must come to light. Many of you know that. And if it's one thing, once I'm disseminating facts, things that are factual, I have no reluctance. There's no reluctance or no apprehension when it comes to me disseminating facts. And that's what the people of the Virgin Islands need to know. If we're talking about transparency, you can't talk transparency but demonstrate something different, because then it's not encouraging to the people that you serve. So if you're going to talk accountability and especially transparency, we want to see that you're transparent. We don't want to learn different things. So when you hear me posing and having discussions here on the radio, and of course this distributed on social media for even Virgin Islanders abroad and others that wish to tune in, I'm not going to share with you what is not factual. I will ask questions about certain things that are being discussed. And this morning, what we discussed was whether or not, is it just a rumor or is it true that Havensight Mall may be up for sale? I would be curious to know what is the assessed value and what is being proposed by any private entity. I'm going to do further research, rest assured, because after all, I was a government employee, I'm a retiree, and I'm still here trying to contribute as much as I can. And if I have to be, I don't want to call it a watchdog, but a conscious mind to stand around just to analyze things for myself and be able to share with the public what I see. It's just to try to enlighten you. I don't use the term educate you, because you're all educated. I enlighten you. I enlighten you about the things that are going on here in the community, and some things that is not good or in your best interest of Virgin Islanders. So, folks, we're at the end of the hour once again, and we're here at live on WSTA. And I know some of you tried to call in this morning to share your perspective on what we were discussing or wanted to share another topic. Like a couple of callers called in and they shared their perspective. Now you would hear they say, oh, all this money was paid out in income tax refund. Okay, fine. But no one should be waiting for 3 and 4 years to be paid. And you still got folks out there waiting, whether it's 2, 3, or 4 years of income tax refunds and not receiving it. So people get frustrated over that. This has always, and I'm saying, if we go way back historically speaking, it's always been a windfall for many families, for the parent who had a child and wanted to make sure that they got all the different supplies, all the resources in place for that child to be able to attend school. If they're no longer receiving it, they don't even plan for it. I mean, people have gotten to the point where they say, if it come, it come. When it come, it come. No, that's wrong. It shouldn't be that way. And a second dilemma that we're being confronted with is the issue of Virgin Islanders that filed their returns in the States. They actually filed their returns, whether it's in Philadelphia or another state, that will accept their returns and process it in record time that they can receive their income tax refund in 2-3 weeks. That's the point that we need to get to here in the Virgin Islands, that we're able to pay the people, those who have overpaid and entitled to a refund, that they're paid on time. Why can't we get this? This is the kind of government we want. Responsible, not reactive, proactive. That's the kind of government we need. A government that really can respond to the cry of a people. We have a lot of problems here in the U.S. Virgin Islands that we want to overcome. Many of us continue to be optimistic and say, keep hope alive, that we want to believe that things are going to look up and that they're going to get better. Yes, we have a myriad of problems here in the Virgin Islands, and you will hear me trumpet problems, but I also talk about history, the things that we do, and people's contribution. And today what we had discussed was former Governor Alexander Farley and his contribution to the Virgin Islands, his legacy, his vision, put in full effect. And we're trying to dilute it. But we should hope that Virgin Islanders pay attention to what is going on, because the paradigm that exists in the Virgin Islands, I'm quite sure that many of you want to see that we're able to disrupt the pattern that is taking place. But folks, I'm at the end of the hour, and the engineer, the famous Rob, is signaling me and telling me it's at the end of the program. So until next Monday, the same time from 10 to 11 a.m., live here on WSTA with another topic of interest, or should be of interest, to all the people of the Virgin Islands. And I'm talking about you guys included out there on Facebook land, that week to week being streamed live. You have a vested interest in the Virgin Islands as well, and we appreciate that. Continue to pay attention to what is going on, because we don't want to lose these precious Virgin Islands. So until next Monday, may everyone have a blessed day and a productive week. God bless.
Please log into your mobile phone, television.
It's Catch of the Day. From the water to the pot to your mouth, everything is fresh at Catch of the Day, located on Cookie Point Beach. Enjoy some of your favorite seafood dishes: fresh catch, lobster, conch, and whelks, when in season, as well as surf and turf. They cater to your wishes. While you sit and wait for your food, enjoy the friendly bar and bask in the ambience that is second to none. Enjoy the white sand, sun, and crystal blue water. We are sure the experience will be unique. Monday through Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Come and enjoy Catch of the Day on Cookie Point Beach.